Yay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Swirl Suite. We are live. We are live. This is our second anniversary, and we're going to be talking generational drinking. We have some special guests today, so if we could just go down the line and introduce ourselves.
Special guest or us?
Everybody jump at first.
Who's starting me?
Tanisha, you know what?
What line?
Listen, by the way, I do not know editing yet. I have not learned that yet, so this is all staying live. The replay is going to be exactly the way it is.
A girl, let me help your life out. I'll help you with that. But okay, I'll go. Okay, hey everybody, I'm Tanisha, Girl Meets Glass. Girl Meets Glass is my blog, and I talk about girls and glasses and drinking and stuff like that. And yeah, I write about it. I do video, and I'm here. Yay!
Yay.
Hi all.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hello, hello.
Julia?
Hi, everybody. I'm Julia Coney at Julia Coney on all my social media. I am a blogger here in the Washington, D.C. area. My blog is based on beauty, travel, and lifestyle. And lately, it's going to be a lot more wine. My blog will be 10 years old in March.
Wow.
So I will be transitioning from all about the pretty to just juliaconey.com. So I have everything in that.
Well, all right.
All right, should I go next? I'm Ashton Berry. I currently live in Seattle, Washington, but I'll be moving to New Orleans, Louisiana, actually next week.
Wheezy.
I Yeah, it's gonna be awesome being in NOLA. I am a freelance writer. I work for Alcohol Professor currently, and I have a couple of articles that are coming out the next month on some other mediums as well. And I will be running one of the three bars in the Ace Hotel New Orleans that's opening up in March 2016.
Wow.
Just
All
go to
right.
Tales of the Cocktail.
Oh my goodness, that is. Oh, my liver still has not forgiven me for that trip. Whew, Tails is something special.
Are you
Mm-mm-mm.
here?
So we're going to be talking generational drinking. And really quick, I just wanted to go over the differences between the generations. And I found this really cool chart that broke down baby boomers, Generation X, and millennials. And it has like all of these subjects on the side, but I'm just going to give a few. So the first one is education. So baby boomers thinks education is a birthright. Generation X thinks it's a way to get there. And millennials think it's an incredible expense. Okay, right.
I'm a millennial. I'm a millennial.
So
In your
okay,
dreams.
I'm a
so
millennial.
family experience. Baby boomers, they are the generation of the mom stayed home. The children were seen as like her nucleus and like the Cleaver family. You know what I mean? So Generation X, latchkey kids. The women were working outside the home. Generation X was the first daycare generation, and most houses had dual incomes. Millennials are a generation of merged families, and they are coddled kids, which means they get a trophy for being in eighth place. Um, that kind of thing. And that's what this list says. This is
Why
what
does
this
that
says.
list
Okay.
ever say that? You get a trophy for
Okay.
being in
So
eighth
hold on.
place. What? Is that even real?
What?
Yes,
It
Yeah.
was
it's
like
real.
showing people in a competition. You get a
Yes.
trophy because you had on blue shorts.
Every
Yay.
Right.
kid get a trophy
Exactly.
now.
That's
Yep.
my little sister's generation. Yeah.
Okay. So last
Wow.
one. This is how they deal with money. Okay. So baby boomers are buy now, pay later. Generation X are cautious, conservative, save, save, save. Millennials are earn to spend. So I hope that gives everybody a good idea of the different generations, and mindsets are just different at different ages. Oh, and I forgot to give the ages. So let me see, because there were a lot of variations, but
Mm-hmm.
this is what I found. So I found that baby boomers were ages 51 to 69. Generation X are ages 35 to 50, and millennials are 18 to 34. Um, so
Okay.
that's pretty much what I got to give you a
All
good
right.
idea of each generation and how different they are. And this
Interesting.
yeah, so this subject came up because Melissa, she couldn't make it today. Melissa, the liquor lady, she tweeted all of us an article about these they're 20 somethings. I think they're like 22 or something. So they came up with this app where it's not like Uber for drinks or liquor or whatever, but it's like a delivery service. So you download the app and you order your wine, liquor, beer, whatever you want, and they deliver it to your house. And they're
Oh
all in
yeah.
stores. I forgot what is the app name. I pulled it up. I pulled it up. I'll tell you guys in a minute. But yeah, so they delivered this app and it's doing really well. I think they're out of Massachusetts or something like that, but it's doing really well. And this is just the mindset of a millennial. They want things fast, they want things in a hurry. They should be able to order something, have something without really communicating with you.
How do they
Yeah.
how do
I'm
they
okay with that.
age?
Would you say?
How do they verify age?
I don't know. I just found
They must do it like when they get there, because
Oh,
that was
true.
that was actually one of the big problems with Maryland when they were trying to decide on
okay.
shipping wine.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people had the argument of age verification, and I'm like, there are plenty of states to deliver wine, and the person at the mail person is the one who verifies the age. They can look at your ID.
Actually, I just remembered. So the app is
Yeah.
called Drizzly. It's called Drizzly, and they verify the age by the person who purchases the wine. So you purchase the wine through the app, and that has your ID and everything connected to it. So
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, but so yeah, it's crazy. And I know at the Wine Bloggers Conference, I don't know if you remember, Glennis, but this is a big subject for winemakers. They want to know who to market to, and they don't think that millennials are worth it because they don't have the income. They don't have the income to buy $40, $50 bottles of wine that they're making. So
I think it's actually the opposite.
Me
I find
too.
that
Um,
Yeah, I'm with Tanisha.
opposite, and I think that many winemakers, I can say specifically, I have very close relationships with winemakers in Champagne, France specifically, and within the Loire Valley. I used to work at a place called Pops for Champagne in Chicago, and I was one of the floor somms. And I can tell you that that's actually not true. A lot of millennials are very concerned with quality.
sure.
In the Generation X. It is considered part of the hipster lifestyle, I would say, quote unquote, and a
Mm-hmm.
part of a sign that signifies your level of education to
Hmm.
drink things in a sophisticated manner. And not just drink things in a sophisticated manner, eat things in a
Sure.
sophisticated manner.
mhm.
Absolutely.
No longer, honestly, at this point, the beer and the shot game is really for those just turned 21s and like your kitchen staff and your bartenders who get out for work. When I go and I see young people, they're not sitting at the bar being like, oh, let me get a high life. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
sitting at the bar
Yeah.
asking me
Right.
for beers and like, asking me what kind of sparkling wine I have. Now, is there definitely a pay gap? There's definitely a jump from um, what happens when you're right out of college to the people who have
Hmm.
clearly been out of college for a while and are working on graduate degrees or anything like that. There's clearly a mindset that transforms within that
Hmm.
5 to 6 years, and it changes
Mhm.
very quickly because
Yeah.
they're trying to
Yeah.
establish themselves as different from the babies that just got out of college. And I think one of the
Right.
ways to do that,
Yes.
and again, respect, in a lot of ways, is to show that you are knowledgeable about food and wine and spirits.
Yep. Absolutely.
Um, and I think that if winemakers were right about that, the cocktail world wouldn't have seen the boom that they have seen. I think
Hmm.
the difference is the verbiage that we use, the verbiage that is used by a lot of winemakers and a lot of somms when we approach customers to talk to them.
Yeah.
And that I don't know that that's true. And I see a lot of winemakers, especially in Champagne, when I go there. I got an email this yesterday actually where they were asking me if I was going to the champagne tasting this April, and one of the winemakers was like, I love it when you come because we want young people drinking our
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like,
Yeah.
his son is taking over as chef through the cave, and he's like, I don't want to send my son to America to talk to people twice his age. I want to send him to places where people like you are drinking. And so
Right.
how do we get it to that? How do we find those young people are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think one thing I was reading recently, I think the millennials, because I have a lot, I'm basing on my nieces, because that's the millennial, because I'm in the Generation X. I think they don't drink to, they don't drink to collect wine. I think a lot of winemakers are always like, this is going to be great in 15 years. This is going to be great in 20 years. Drink this. They're drinking like now. They're like, we're having to get together. People are over. We're literally watching movies. We're watching Hulu. They're drinking now. So they're not worried about, oh, if this is going to age correctly in 7 years.
Yeah.
It's not going to make it 7 days.
No, I don't even know what. Right. I want.
That's that is actually really true because I researched this as well in preparation for this particular hangout. Again, my name is Glennis at Vina Noir is my blog. Didn't get a chance to introduce myself. The research that I did, and it's actually a very good article. It was published in 2012, and exactly what you said: the millennials versus the baby boomers. They're more apt to, when thinking about buying wine, they're looking right at the shelf talkers. They're looking, they might ask a friend what's good, what's hip, and like you said, what can we drink right now? Unlike their parents might have said, okay, I'm going to go into a wine shop and ask the wine steward, what's good for me to buy, and i.e. store for later, for future generations and things of that nature. Millennials, again, it's also a status thing for millennials.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Am I drinking the right wine in the right circle? Will I be embarrassed if I bring the wrong wine? So they are apt to do a little more personal research instead of just going on necessarily only the word of mouth. So it's a very interesting article. This article was titled "Millennial Wine Consumers Risk Perception and Information Search." So they were saying the millennials are more apt to think about the perception that others may have on, and that piece I'm not too sure, because I think vain and vanity is vanity. Regardless of how old you are,
Exactly.
if you're really into wine, you want to look like or act like you know wine. The perception of the wine that you bring might.
So I can also say this is cultural, and as someone who has now lived abroad, Midwest, Chicago, originally from Tennessee, and now lived in the PNW, there are things that are also go very culturally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That are embedded very, very culturally to the area that you're from. People in the Pacific Northwest are extremely privileged comparative to their counterparts in maybe some other areas of the country in terms of the quality of education to get, the amount of money that they come out of high school and college having. You know what I mean? It's just very different style of living here.
They're well traveled. They're well traveled. Millennials now are more traveled than baby boomers were at that same age.
Exactly.
But even with well traveled, that doesn't mean that the travel quality is the same. Because what I can tell you here is that I work at a place called Bastille here. It's been open for 7 years, and it's got a great reputation of having amazing French food, and a beautiful wine list. Mm-hmm. And what I can tell you here is that people, if are concerned, and more concerned, this is across the country, with not knowing.
Right.
Period. It is extremely intimidating to not know. What I've learned in the PNW is the way that they have been able to deflect that is that they don't want anything that isn't from the Pacific Northwest. And that is their way of, and not all people, because you do have some really, really wine-savvy people, but those tend to be in upper generations who remember before Oregon and Washington became popular or there were more winemakers making really great quality wine. So they're a little bit open to trying different things. But you see these millennials who are automatically will shut down wine that's not from the area. Well, that's too fancy. That's too da-da-da-da-da. But it's because of what they've grown up on. And although they may be well-traveled, they are well-traveled. Maybe they've gone to Thailand. Maybe they've gone to Japan. Maybe they've gone to Hawaii. Many of them have never been to New York or Chicago or the South. So they have context in some of a world perspective, but they have no context within their own country about how people drink outside of their region. And I think that matters because being able to come talk to your friend across the country about what they're drinking versus what you're drinking is an important dialogue because let's be clear, the distribution alone on the two coasts is very extremely different.
Mm-hmm.
You got two very different distributions and people are getting two very different things.
Exactly.
I read a
So
I read an article. I think Gallo is starting to gear their marketing more towards millennials, and they gave the reasons why. They were saying that the millennials are their generation is bigger than the baby boomers.
Yes.
They have broader palettes, so they're not really stuck on tradition necessarily. They want to try any and everything and learn. And also the social media portion. They're
Right.
going to try your wine and they're going to tweet about it. They're going to Instagram about it. They're going to Facebook about it. So it's almost like you're getting automatically, you're getting some marketing in there with your sales or whatever. So there are some wineries that are really trying to gear towards millennials. And
definitely.
yeah,
And your millennials will soon become your next generation.
exactly.
Like very, very quick.
Yeah, somebody was trying to explain to an older winemaker at the Wine Bloggers Conference, like your
Exactly.
millennials. I mean, and you got trust fund millennials. They're gonna have some money. You know,
I was
some
gonna say
millennials
that.
have money, so don't even doubt that.
It all depends on market. I mean, I'm in the PNW where you've got Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver. You got kids who are 23 years old who work the oil rigs walking around with Lamborghinis. Like,
Wow.
you've got kids whose parents are sending them from Asia that went to college here, stayed, and their parents are just sending them an influx of money, and they're eating at Michelin star restaurants every Friday like it's casual dining.
Exactly.
Like,
And then you know,
it's all about market. You gotta really pay attention to like your market because I can tell you Vancouver and Seattle alone has, especially with Seattle having the tech, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, having all these things, you got these kids who are super young and they are looking to burn money. Like they can't burn it quick enough because they just make that much money and they're coming into cocktail bars and they're buying rounds that cost $200 for their friends because they got it. And the wine world, I think the cocktail world, especially in Seattle, has kind of figured out a way to kind of make that work for their businesses. And what's disturbing about the wine world is they haven't figured out a way to make that work for a business because everybody here who wants to open up a wine bar wants to open up this typical old-fashioned wine bar, which I love, don't get me wrong, but that appeals to Generation X and baby boomers. Well, let's be clear. There's a very small group of them who are actually staying in PNW full-time. They're all traveling, retired, doing their things. And they also have a different of a frugal lifestyle, whereas your millennials are starting to take over the region. If you're thinking about opening a wine bar, chances are you need to start gearing it towards the younger people.
Yeah.
So,
Glennis, were you going to say something?
No, I was just saying that this article was pretty much speaking to some of the same things in that if these wine makers don't start changing their way of marketing, they're going to have an issue. And the biggest issue, the baby boomers are not going to be around much longer. So you have to grab this millennial population early. So that whole thing about aging and cellaring, some of them might be into it because that's what they inherit from, those trust fund millennials may inherit and say, hey, yeah, this is what my parents did, and, it's a good thing, but we want to drink this too. And I had a question for everyone. In your research and doing this, did you notice any particular varietal that was more millennial style versus other varietals?
Well, I know. Oh, I was gonna say
Go ahead.
I go by my nieces, like I said, and their friends, and they're in Houston. So my family's in the South. So because of the weather, they're not into a lot of big, bold reds. They're not like me when I'm like, cab, Barola, the bigger the better. They're like, it's hot on Juju. Like, I'm not drinking that. I want something refreshing. So a lot of them, they're really into like Sauvignon Blancs. They're not really into reds at all. Like, they're just like, And then one thing that they love is rosé. And I realized because they like hashtags and they like fun stuff, that my
Rose.
nieces follow the girls Yes Way Rosé.
Oh, okay.
Because the girls who created it, they have a hashtag called basically rosé is what summer water, quote unquote summer water.
Wow.
Wow.
So because they call it summer water, that's their joking. But they're young 20-something girls, and in the South where it's hot a lot of the time, it is a refreshing drink. So
Right.
they're drinking. Their whole thing is, I'm drinking this. I'm drinking my rosé, and it's always got their new bottle. They're going here, they're traveling. And
Right.
that's the thing. I just noticed, like, where my palate really tends to, I like a bigger body drink.
You need to.
And I don't know if it's because I'm in DC and it's colder, but they're just like all whites and rosés. Don't pass them a red. They don't want to look at a red.
I think that some of it is also generational again, though. I think, and this is something that we can compare honestly to the whiskey world. I think kids think drinking scotch is for old people. Drinking bourbon is what's cool and hip, right?
Right.
No, like, but
True.
and they think that, well, I just ordered this nice bourbon. The thing, Pappy's all the craze, and that's really interesting to them. And I think that you're seeing a lot of that about they want to make sure that they're still drinking what's hip and what's cool. I will say again, it depends on market. Chicago is booming for sherry sales. They cannot sell sherry.
Okay.
They cannot sell enough of it. Like, Chicago is killing it in the sherry game. They got bartenders putting in drinks, and then they got people coming and ordering it by itself. Like, they are killing the sherry game. But this goes to, and this is why I think markets can change based on education of your staff. Chicago also has one of the largest markets that bars spend so much money on educating their staff
DC,
and making sure that their staff palates are at a level that they can grow their customers' palates.
DC too.
And that makes a huge difference. And I think that I can say for sure, I push Cava for, people coming into the champagne bar. Doesn't have an issue with Prosecco, but whenever people would be like, well, we're just going to get Prosecco because that's affordable, I would be like, don't discount yourself. There's some beautiful cavas out there that are complex and beautiful, but people just don't know the name. And I said, and you really do yourself a service when you can walk and sit in the bar and say, what do you have for sparkling wine selections that includes Prosecco, cavas, and cremants?
Right.
I was like, do yourself a service. And I think that you're right about down south, that people are like, about that red wine. But people also are very hesitant about anything with too much acid.
I think it's the weather. I'm gonna be honest. Like when that acid and that 100-degree heat and that humidity from the bayou hits you, you really are trying to cool down.
No, and I get that, but I drink Chocolina like it's water in the summertime.
I know, but that's us. I still drink red wine in the summertime.
No, I'm like Chocolina like it's water. But yeah, no, I completely agree, and I would say that one of the things that I have noticed is it's the opposite in the P and W. So I agree that weather has something to do with it, because much more likely to go through red. The perception here with a lot of young kids is that white is sweet.
Wow.
They always, like, whenever a younger person is ordering white wine, they're like, is it dry? Is it sweet? I don't want a sweet white wine. You know what I mean? The perception, for some reason, is they're immediately thinking of Riesling. Or they think it's going to be super oaky like Chardonnay. They haven't really contrived the idea that there are things in between. They're thinking of the two extremes, and that's all they know. And they're like, no, I don't want that. So it's really interesting when you're like, but let me show you a dry Chenin Blanc. Like, let me show you something. Let me show you these in-between varietals. And once they taste it, they're totally open to it. But, we got people ordering mussels and then having a Syrah with it.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
What?
We all like stopped. Everybody was like, what?
Oh my God.
Well, Ashton, I will say there's a mixologist in DC, and she went to Jerez and really studied, and she's bringing sherry to DC. Like, she actually is doing sherry tastings and pairings.
I love it. What's her name?
Her name is Chantal Singh, Tseng.
That's the second time I've heard that name this week. That's so funny.
And like 2 weeks ago, she did a thing at the Source, which was Wolfgang Puck's, and they paired all this Asian cuisine with sherries. And she owns another restaurant here called Mockingbird, and she's really popular. Like, she is the sherry lady of DC. Like, she is the super sherry. Yeah.
It's happening
Yeah.
and I'm glad the share name is coming up because it is affordable. First of all,
Yeah.
let's talk about the affordability and why I want younger people drinking it. It's a
Mhm.
range of different flavors. It's affordable, and you can drink it in a couple of different ways, and it'll
Mhm.
satisfy. And it's beautifully pairs with so many different types of food. And so this is one of the things that I'm pushing for our millennials and also our Generation X. I finally got my mom drinking Fino Sherry, and she loves it. You know, it's not her summertime thing. She's like, pour myself a glass of Fino. But I think if we can push millennials towards that, I think that will thing. Also, vermouth.
Mm.
Yeah.
Affordable. There ain't nothing like some vermouth on the rocks with a twist.
You gonna have to convince me of that one, Ashton, because I'm like
Oh, girl,
my
I can
Cabernet
convince you real
Sauvignon.
quick. I can convince you real quick. Just give me the time.
We're gonna have to.
We're gonna have to come visit you in PNW or Nowlands, as we say down south.
No,
You'll learn it. It's Nowlands. Not you'll be like, I'm living Nowlands.
Nolans.
Nowlands. When you said
no.
NOLA, I was like, where is that? But then I think about it.
Well, I had to, just in case some of our watchers don't know what Nolans is. I always like to say New Orleans or NOLA because sometimes people are like, "What? What's that?"
Well, I have family down there, so let me know when you move.
Oh yeah, I move next week.
Oh
Um,
wow. Okay.
yeah, like I'm boxed up together. That's why I'm like I can't really show any of my house because there's boxes everywhere. Um, Also, question for you ladies. How do certifications play into this? More than ever now, younger and younger people are getting sommelier certifications,
Mhm.
whether it be through the court, Wine and Spirit Education Trust, ISG.
Mhm.
Um, they're also getting Cicerone,
Mhm.
and they're also doing programs like Bar Smarts. How do these certifications, how do you think they play in to the market and how people drink in the market?
Well, back to what I said before, and I'm just going on this one article, which was as long as all get out. Again, for millennials, it's back to perception and wanting to some also be knowledgeable about
Hmm.
what they're drinking and what they're bringing to the corporate party or ordering at a corporate dinner or whatever. So, in order to do that, being as savvy as they are from a standpoint of all the social media and having that type of access, um, the certifications can only help them. And then also you have to think about millennials, some of them still being in college, having those certifications help them with those jobs,
Mhm.
bartending, waitressing, and things of that nature as well. So not only their part-time gigs, the perception certifications weigh in very heavily. So that's my two cents.
If I can go back to the two guys that I was telling you about that created the app Drizzly. So they had no capital starting out.
Mhm.
So I don't think they got a loan or anything. So they went to one of the liquor stores that they were trying to do business with, and they worked there. So they spent months learning about the wine and liquor business first.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they had a certification. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they were sommeliers. That's just I don't know. That just seems to be what millennials like to do is learn as much as they can, and it helps them in whatever startup they're trying to get off the ground.
Well, I'll argue this, and then I'll let Tanisha go. I think that it's not even about learning; it's the perception of learning.
Mhm.
Because what
Yep.
I'm finding is, and I hate to say that, but it is.
Perception.
Hmm.
Totally.
What I'm finding is that they're passing the test and they can talk to you all day about Bordeaux and Burgundy, but when you
Hmm.
ask them about things that are actually relevant to the consumers they're going to be facing, is, I'm sorry, baby girl or baby boy, everybody's not coming into your bar and ordering that Bendigard bottle list. Most people are going to order within. Let's be honest, most people are going to order within a 40.
Price
At least
range.
in our restaurant, because our cheapest bottle is like $48.
Hmm.
$48 to $69 range. This is what they're gonna order in.
Mhm.
You're not really getting a lot there, so you need to be looking to other places. Spain, Italy, Greece. To be honest, like, although people aren't really into that because the name pronunciations are hard. So I think that I asked this question because I think that the certification is giving people and consumers a false sense of security. You
Hmm.
know, because somebody has told them that I'm now a sommelier, which I also have troubles with, even though I do have quite a few certifications. I I do. But mine started off as more of a hobby, and then I kind of just and a lot of times people will be like, oh, it's just like Ace Hotel. They're like, oh, you're a sommelier. Why don't you tell people you're a sommelier? Because I don't think taking an exam qualifies you as a sommelier. I think if you're on the floor every single day and engaging in a way that helps consumers find what they want to drink, not
Mhm.
what you want them to drink, that
Mhm.
is what defines a sommelier. And right now we're in this really mecca of you've got these young kids have never who are bashing or supporting wines, and they've never met the winemaker or ever seen a vineyard in their life. It never worked harvest,
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
to be completely honest. And so I asked that because um, Generation X and the people that I learned from, many of them have no certification. But I
Mhm.
don't think anybody would argue that Craig Cooper, beverage director of Pops, or Jeremy Quinn, formerly of Webster's Wine Bar in Chicago, now is working with the DOC for Georgian wine overseas. I don't think anybody would argue that those men are extremely knowledgeable and probably knowledgeable than some of the master sommeliers we have out here.
Mhm.
And so I'm worried at where we're moving in terms of generational drinking if certification becomes the key to how people equate people's knowledge to. And I
Hmm.
worry that specifically as millennials stop becoming the bottom of the food chain and start becoming the food chain as the baby boomers
Mhm.
start to leave.
Right.
Mhm.
They will. There's just not enough of Generation X. It will easily bleed over, and it won't be this long time like the baby boomers will. The Generation X is going to have a very small period, and the millennials are going to take over. And so I'm interested to see how that buying pattern is going to transform.
Mhm.
Well, I think I was listening to a podcast with Paul Greco of Terrar. He's like really funny. He's in the Psalm movies, and he was saying
Mm-hmm.
that he thinks whereas all the big restaurants were going to really big wine list, right? 400 bottles, five, make it bigger, bigger, bigger. He's thinking that when the younger people come in, they're shrinking these wine lists, so they're having amazing restaurants with a smaller wine list instead
Mhm.
of trying to say we're pulling every possible wine from every region in the world and they're just honing in.
Right.
He said, which makes a better experience when you're having the food because the wine list is not the size of an encyclopedia.
Right.
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 Don't
And
get me,
then,
you
Because
know,
some of them are heavy as heck. You be
yeah,
like,
yeah, you lift it up, and he's like because he said they're going to pick wines and they're going to pick regions and they're going to say this is the list, this is the wines. And he was saying I think at one of his restaurants he opened because he left Gramercy Tavern, he only had 100 wines on the list,
hmm,
and he said we never went past 100.
Which
wow.
is
wow.
still, I will
A
say,
lot. It's still a lot.
a lot. Like
Yeah.
unless, like, depending on the volume you do, it's still a lot. Like
But
honestly, I
he
look at
said
places.
though this is interesting. He says 40 of those wines were by the glass.
Mm.
Oh,
Wow.
that is
So he's
interesting.
he said that's what they did at Gramercy Tavern. They that and he was saying to read the book by Danny Meyer, who is over Gramercy Tavern and he owns Shake Shack. That
Mhm.
his thing was everybody's not into buying a bottle of wine. Some
Right.
people want to try a glass of wine with each course and match
Right.
different people. So
Right.
that's why they concentrate a lot on the wines by the glass, which one of the reasons I like Fleming Steakhouse because Fleming
Mhm.
Steakhouse has 100 wines by the glass at a steakhouse.
Right.
Wow.
Interesting. So I have a question now that you brought up yourself. I like everybody to say, well, you don't have to tell what generation you're in. You don't have to tell your age or anything like that. But where do you think you fall as far as how you buy your wine? What generation do you think you fall in?
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a very interesting question.
Take it to
Um, I still laugh because I made this comment earlier, and it was, oh my gosh, I've just missed the baby boomers by 2 years. And I freaked out when I saw that. I was like, oh, what? Um, and then I was like, okay, so I'm Generation X. So I'm okay with that. All right. So I think I'm a combination based on the research that I have.
Mhm.
Um, and sorry, Ashley, yeah, I do have some certifications, so sometimes I do know I'm going there. I'm like, let me talk to the wine steward. Let me
Right.
talk to the wine, the
Yeah.
proprietor about what they have in their shop. Also, I am a creature of habit. I will not lie. I was born in July.
Oh
That's
Lord, that's a
chances
cancer.
are. Yes, ma'am. I'm a creature of habit. When in doubt, go with what you know. And if I'm someplace and I don't see anything, and it depends on who I'm with, I kind of could be a millennial, like, okay, yeah, well, I know this. And then sometimes I'm like, the heck with it, I don't care what y'all think. Let me try that right there. Because one of my friends, one of y'all, I've heard it from, somebody on one of these Google Hangouts, and I've never had it. Or we're about to do a hangout on a specific region, and I never had that particular wine. I'll branch out. So, yeah, I'm a kaleidoscope generation. I just all over the place.
I'm Generation X too. I think a lot of times I'm influenced. I have a lot of young people in my life, and when I say young, I mean definitely under 30,
Mhm.
and they all drink wine. And I think they'll take a photo of a bottle and send it to me, and then
Mhm.
just being because I write about travel and wine and all that, and I go on these press trips, and I'm just talking to so many different people all the time. And then there's my regular little liquor store. There's like, oh, I got some extra money, let me go blow some oh, I got this age. So I just think it's just kind of all over the board for me.
Mm-hmm.
And but I always like, for me, if I go into a restaurant, I love talking to the bartenders.
Exactly.
I
I like.
love. I'll ask them to send a bartender over to the table if I'm sitting down, because I think they sometimes just have a lot of. They just know some things sometimes that sometimes even I love the Psalms. They just kind of can be stuck in their ways. But the bartender come over and like, what you eating? What appetizer you having? Think about this, and they make me think about drinks in a different way, from wine to spirits to cocktails to after dinner drinks. But I think what I find interesting now is learning a lot about wine from bloggers.
Mm,
I mean, my first thing is like, I'll type in a wine and I'll type in and blog, and the blog will pull it
Mhm.
up. And
correct.
YouTube, I've gotten some great wine recommendations from wine bloggers on YouTube.
Mhm.
Hmm. Exactly.
So I think because it's almost information overload,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
it just, you go in and you're just like, I had this in mind, and then I'm drinking something else.
Mhm.
Yep.
Tanisha, you want to go?
Hello? Can you hear
Yes.
me? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
I thought my microphone wasn't working. All right. Um, I'm probably like Generation X, just if we're going by the age thing, and then some of the stuff that Sarita mentioned earlier as far as like education and all that. And as far as my drinking habits, it probably falls in line with what most people have said about Generation X. Yes, I do have certifications. Yes, I am more informed, but I am open for suggestion.
Hmm.
I think with the issue with a lot of millennials that I find is that while they do ask for a lot of information, some of them are starting to get certifications, I feel like they're very fickle and they don't stick with one thing, as opposed to how Generation X and maybe baby boomers are. Millennials are like, okay, this week I like this. What's hot? Okay, well, this week is something new that's hot. Okay, well, now it's actually something new that's hot. So it's hard to market to that when they're always changing. It's always about, oh, what's the latest hashtag or what's the cool new thing that's in. So you can't market to someone who's changing every
Right.
couple weeks, every
Right.
month, what they
Right.
want.
Right.
Hmm.
I have my wines that I like and
Hmm.
things that I kind of, stick with as far as maybe like varietal or something like that. But I do try other things. Me being here where I am now, I am around a lot of millennials, and they look to me like, okay, well, what should I try? Okay, well, what should I get? Okay, well, what is this wine about? I have people send me pictures of wine all the time. Okay, well, what is this? And especially since it's French wine, they're like, okay, I want to try it, but it isn't easy. I don't know what's in the bottle. It
Right.
says Cote de Beaune. What does this mean? I don't know what this is. Tanisha, help me. It's red and it says this. What do I have? So
Yeah.
it's tough when it comes to who you want to market to. And I think that's what wine's problem is. they aren't as quick to change and incorporate new marketing techniques
Sure.
as some other things are. I use the example when I was teaching a wine and spirits course. I always use the example of the Ciroc commercial where Puffy is on the jet. He's in Vegas. He has the models. They throwing chips up. And it's like, oh, I want to go to Vegas. I want to be a model. I want to throw chips and dollars in the air. But then you see a wine commercial and they got some rolling hills and some grapevines, and
Empty.
you see a swirling glass. Like, so what do you want to do? You want to swirl glass, or you want to be, standing in the vineyard, or you want to be on the jet with Puffy? I
Yeah.
love wine, but I want to be on the jet with Puffy. Like,
Mhm.
that's that you have to, start thinking of what images people want to see and where people see themselves. It's more
Right.
realistic to be at a club popping a bottle. Nobody's at the club popping a bottle of Cabernet. Like, they're just not doing it. So what club you at doing that, girl? You can't Instagram that. If I can't Instagram it, then like it didn't happen. So you also have to
Oh,
think
yes.
about that. If
But
I
that's
can't
the truth.
Snapchat
That's
it,
the truth right
then but I can Snapchat somebody making me a cocktail, them shaking it and them doing all that. Oh, this is good for the snap and for the gram. But me pouring a glass of wine,
there. I agree with
like,
that. I agree with that.
ta-da! Like, I don't care.
That was Generation X. Yeah. Okay.
Ashley.
Well, I'm a millennial, and I'm
Girl,
a
you are. I didn't even know. I could see.
You.
I
I could
am a
tell.
millennial, but I don't know if I can actually speak to um being a millennial in the sense that my peers are. I grew up drinking things very differently, and I started drinking scotch at a very young age. I grew up in a whiskey family, and so when I first went in order to drink, my first drink I ordered was a Jack and Daniels. By the time that I was like 22, I was drinking Johnny Walker, and then by the time I was 23, I drank Scotch neat. Like, so my palate just formed extremely different from a lot of people who were my age who were drinking beer, which I could not stand, and having vodka soda, which I was always like,
I
I
thought it
got
was
sick
gonna be
one
one.
time, and I was like, no, boo, no. Like, don't get me wrong, now I'm drinking, but you could
Oh.
not get me a few years ago to even. I'm like, no, absolutely not. If it ain't been an oak, I don't drink it. Like, and but I will say, same thing with the wine world. I was very blessed and privileged to work at places like Pops for Champagne that like really curated my palate, and other wine bars that were really high end, beautiful bars. So I didn't go through this weird awkward moment like so many young wine drinkers, where it's like kind of like, well, I drank Riesling and then I drank Moscato and then I tried a this and a that. You know what I mean? And kind
Mhm.
of slowly worked my way up, because I started off drinking Italian wines automatically, specifically Sardinian and Sicilian wines, in my career. And so I think that alone, I don't know if I have the true experience on how millennials think. I will say I do hop from thing to thing to thing, but to thing to thing, but the things that I love, I support vehemently. You
Mm.
know, everybody knows that I'm a champagne drinker. If you look on my Instagram, most of the bottles are going to be pictures of champagne. And
This is true.
um, yeah, I drink champagne every Monday. Anybody who knows me, you can do whatever you want. You can invite me to whatever you want. If it does not involve champagne, or you're not trying to figure out how to drink it before or after an event, chances are I'm not coming, because like that is what I do every single Monday. Period. It's not negotiable. Like, I drink champagne on Mondays, and that's what I do.
I love
You
it.
know, I'm very all about that. And then I also have this really beautiful love for fortified wines,
Mhm.
all things fortified. And I support that world very vehemently too. But like I said, I'm the opposite though. I'm that girl who, like, you telling me, oh, there's a Bordeaux tasting today. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'll stop by and everything like that. But I'd be much more excited if you told me that there was like a Portugal wine tasting. Like, I'd be like, oh yeah, like let's do it. I'm also very attracted though to and enamored by the things that aren't readily accessible in our market.
Mm.
Um, those things really attract me. So when I go into a place, unless I'm going for something specific and I know I'm pairing it with something specific, generally I'm looking for the outlier. I'm like, what's here that I absolutely don't know anything about? That
Mhm.
like I've read about, but I haven't had a chance to taste a lot of what's going on. What is here? All right, let me check that out. And that's kind of what I focus on. But like you said, I think it's all about marketing too. So
Mhm.
let's be real. My champagne pictures on Instagram get the most likes. Why?
Mhm.
Because people think that's sexy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like
Thank you.
and I post but then I post something like Sauternes and I'm like, Sauternes. And like we're like, but not for real though. We don't even know what that is. Like,
So
like
turns and
and
foie
so
gras. Oh Lord, yes.
That is the best combination.
Ooh,
Oh,
Lord Jesus.
I'm
yeah.
not eating
Um,
a moment for the saints.
A
Woo.
moment for the sauternes and the foie gras.
eating
You
Daffy
don't even
Duck.
need to. So I
Mm.
love me some Sauternes, but lately I've been all about that Tokai life. So,
Oh, oh
um,
Oh
no.
yeah.
yeah, and so for me, it's hard because I think in many ways my actual drinking taste and the things that I like actually go back to a baby boomer time. I like things very simplistic. I don't need them overwrought. I actually don't need you to sell me. I don't need a grand show because I'm going to be more interested in what you have to tell me and like how delicious it tastes. And I don't care if it
Hmm.
costs $25 or $85. Like I'm all about that quality, and I don't give a shit if your label looks like crap.
Mhm.
Like that doesn't matter to me.
Mhm.
But saying that, Tanisha hits it right on the nail. People want things that make them feel good, make them feel sexy, and make them feel like they're inclusive in some world that they're not really a part of on an everyday basis. So yeah, I guess I'm a millennial who's like stuck in that baby boomer age. Wish that 50-50 gin martinis were still like a hot thing, because you know that's that's who I
I think it's interesting
am.
what you just mentioned, Ashton, about baby boomers and how you drink. Because I actually want to pose a question to you all. Do you think that some drinks have a stigma of being like older people drinks?
Mhm.
Like you mentioned
Definitely.
scotch, sherry. Some people look at sherry like that's your grandma drink, that creamy stuff in the little glass, or sauterne. And do you think that there are some drinks that people associate with those are your grandma's drink or your grandpa's
Yeah,
drink?
I mean,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
absolutely. I mean, an old fashioned, and
Yeah.
even
A Manhattan.
a Manhattan, absolutely, and I love
Oh, I
them.
get that with Manhattans.
But then I'll say as a bartender in the cocktail world, people aren't scared to order an old fashioned or a Manhattan anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Those are have become extremely mainstream and extremely popular.
Mhm.
Um, if it's got whiskey in it, you're really not struggling that hard as a bartender to get people to drink it. Where the struggle is actually coming from is moving those people who have always been vodka drinkers into trying things that
Mhm.
are just slightly different. So
Yeah.
you
Right.
get vodka chilled, basically served in a
Mhm.
glass. Like,
Yeah.
how can I get you to understand? Like, let me make you a vodka martini, and I get that you're scared of the dry vermouth, so let me make you one with Lillet.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
and trying to move the older generation actually, not even the older generation, the generation in the vodka scene. You know what I mean? So martinis to them have nothing to do with gin. They're all about vodka, and that's what they drink. They've drinking vodka their whole lives, and they're not really interested in trying whiskey for the most part. To be honest, they're like, no, I'm good. You know what I mean? I like it clear, like a straight, and they're not really interested in trying a fruity cocktail too. So trying to introduce them to things like the Vesper,
Mhm.
Mm.
moderations on the 50-50 gin martini. Trying to introduce them to Alaskan, variations on a aviation, things like that, and how you can switch them by slowly, not because I want them to stop drinking vodka, but I want them to see kind of the abilities of when you start introducing things like gin and aquavit into your palate. It makes your taste much more discerning on what type of vodka you drink. B, it
Mhm.
makes
Mhm.
it possible for you to have a little bit to play with. I make people martinis who tell me, well, I only drink vodka. I don't really like Vin. You know what? The first thing I do, I go, can you trust me for a minute? I make them a split vodka and gin martini. And you know what they say? They go, that is so delicious. And I'm not giving them something like Hendrix. People hear gin and they think Hendrix, which is super floral. And that's not necessarily every gin. Actually, that's not most gins,
Mhm.
or sometimes
Yeah.
them are aquavit. And so
But see, when I started college, I was told gin will make you sin. We talking
Girl,
college.
I was just saying that. The whole time you were
So,
talking, I'm like, Jen will make you sin.
so I'm talking literally ugh,
Yeah.
20 years ago when I went to college and you went the gin route. Everybody, my brothers and my father, girl, when you in college drinking, gin will make you sin. So it took years for me to drink a gin. I mean, years for me to. I would look at Aquavit in the whole bottle, and I would get nauseous because I couldn't even stomach a gin,
Because
and
you
it
ain't
took
want to
me
sin. You just,
gin to make me sin. So it
we all
took
want to go to
about
heaven.
yeah.
Yeah.
It took about turning 35, and then Hendrix was coming out. This was when Hendrix. This is 8 years ago. Hendrix wasn't Hendrix yet. Like,
Yeah.
and it was still small. So when I tasted it, it allowed me to go back and try other gins. But until then, I could not touch gin.
Right. Because
Gin,
Tanqueray was one of the back then.
that and Beefeater. That and
Tang-
Beefeater.
Yeah.
I don't want to
exactly.
talk about nobody's brand on the blog, but
Right. And
Yeah.
Tanqueray, like my issue with gin when I was younger was I would drink it together, the one that was already pre-prepared, the gin and juice. And I thought that was the most disgusting thing ever, but it got me drunk. And I mean, when you're young and first starting out, like that's just what you want. Like you don't want anything like, oh, this tastes delicious and let me swirl it and let me sniff it and see this. You like, but will I get drunk? Like that's what you want to know, or at least when I was that age, that's what we want to do. So I was turned off from gin for a while. I also think the issue with gin, same with a lot of wines, you don't know what you're getting. Gins are very different in how they're made.
mhm.
Hendrix is different from Tanqueray, is different from Bombay, is different from, your Death's Door or your, Few. Whereas Absolute, Smirnoff, Ciroc, Greg, like these vodkas just when we're not talking about flavor vodkas, they taste
Baby.
very similar.
They're very
Because if
similar
you
because
think
you don't
about
have
the
to
actual
balance.
definition of vodka, it's flavorless, tasteless.
Mhm.
So
Basing it off of the heat. Like that's what people who drink vodka who are specific about their vodka, they're basing it off of proof. They're basing on the actual heat of the vodka. They're basing off the proof in the way that it feels when it goes down. They're not basing it off the taste. The only vodka
no,
that I have ever in a blind tasting been able to pick out is Belvedere because it's made out of rye.
yeah. That one is distinct,
Um,
and then vodka made from potatoes is a little more distinctive, where
right,
you can
yeah.
actually get the flavor. But
Absolutely.
a lot of times when people are picking their spirits, they're picking it off of, what somebody rapped about, and they're like, oh, I want Ciroc. Well, why do you like Ciroc as opposed to other ones? I mean, they're not going to tell you it was a puppy commercial, but they want to be in Vegas, throwing chips in the air, and all that stuff too.
So I have a question because what you're saying, Tanisha, and actually, let's let the other ladies finish this question, and I'll ask that question. I'll write it down.
Okay,
Cool.
carry on. Old people drinks. Are they a thing?
Oh,
Right,
you
old people drinks. Is it really a thing? That we just
almost
going
forgot what we was
right.
talking about. Okay, yeah.
Hashtag old people
Old people
drinks.
drinks.
But
I like that.
I'm using that hashtag.
Old people
yeah.
drinks.
Old people drinks.
And tag us.
Um, it does matter. Um, I get told all the time. I get asked every time I walk into a bar because I look in person. I'm very petite and small, and I look even younger than I really am. And I get asked all the time where people are like, "Wait," they'll come up and they'll be like, "Oh, my favorite thing is when the bartender comes up to me and goes, there's a couple of vodka and fruity drinks on there,"
Oh,
and I'm like, "Cool,
girl.
thanks." And I look through the menu and I'm like, yeah, so what are you going to have? And the first thing that I always see is shock and appall when I order a scotch or a mezcal neat.
Mhm.
They're like, you don't want no ice or anything, you just want it neat? And I'm like, yeah. And it's because younger people just don't really do that, to be honest. Even as someone who bartends, I can tell you that it is very rare to have somebody in my age range sit down and be like, I'll have a scotch. Or even with certain wines, it's very rare to have somebody sit down and say something out of friends and say like, I have a Barolo, or like something like that. It's just
Yeah.
Girl, I worked
there's
in a
just some.
winery for 5 years, and it I can't even say that it's cultural. A lot of people just like things the way they like it, and they like it sweet, and that's what they're used to, and that's what they want when they walk through the door. Like, you have anything
Mhm.
sweet? They don't want to try anything new. They don't know what they want. They don't want to know what we're about, how we grow our grapes, how many acres we have. They won't. They don't want to know all that stuff. A big portion of people who come to wineries or even drink wine as a whole just want something sweet. So I'm not surprised at that at all. At all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Hmm. What? So going back to old people drinks, like what are some other things? I'm sorry, I keep saying that.
I love that. I love it.
Because I remember when I was talking luxury spirits, we're talking luxury wine and spirits, and so name the regular, Rhone Valley, Burgundy, Bordeaux, Barolo, those kind of things. Then when I got to spirits, spirits is a little tougher as far as what you think of as luxury, but in America, people look at cognac, scotch, and they look at that as luxury. And I remember the students were like, cognac? What are you, 65? Who drinks cognac? And I'm like, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, we all drink cognac. But like, if you go out to a bar or a club or anything in the States, no one is going to look at you weird for picking up your bottle of Hennessy or your bottle of Remy.
Right.
But if you look at people in other places, that's what their grandparents drank.
Right.
Hmm.
And they think that's what older people drink, not necessarily cognac. Now it's starting to come back. People are starting to use that in cocktails more, so people are starting to drink that. But I definitely agree with what Ashton said, and also what Sarita said. Younger people like things a little bit sweeter, so they want things that are like really fruity and really light. They're not looking for that heavier flavor that a lot of not old people but older, because I like a heavier flavor. And also what Julia said about how I think it was her nieces or cousins who are want rosé all day. They just want something light and bubbly and
Mm-hmm.
fritz, fizzy and that kind of thing.
And
And
also,
so
it helps when Drake made a song about it,
Oh yeah.
and the celebs are
when
rapping
all
about
of them make a song about it. If someone makes a song about it, someone like 1,000, a million people are gonna drink it, and they're gonna go in there gonna ask for it. And if you
it.
ever ask them why, they can't tell you.
Hmm.
Specifically in the African American community,
Very much so.
trends are set by
Rappers.
rap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not just rappers, by musicians. You know what I mean?
Musicians.
Whether it be hip hop, R&B, neo soul. You know what I mean? Depending on what faction you're in, trends
Mhm.
are set by them. And so that's very pertinent. Like in that Drunken Love video, how many people when Jay-Z had that snifter, I won't tell you how many people came in there trying to order Louis Trey, working in after
Right.
that. Didn't even know what
And then you
Louis
tell
Trey
them how much it is,
was.
and they be like, "Oh, let me fall back."
Oh, they weren't trying to get. They weren't trying to get no Douce.
If I do say so myself.
If I
Oh, sorry.
exactly.
That's a
But
bad
they
thing.
come in and being like, "Oh yeah, I heard," and I'm like, "Boo, you do you know what that is? Do
But
you know what that costs?" Like,
Right.
but also you got to. I'm gonna say something. And as much as I love him
Uh
and hate him at the same time. It's not a
oh. Tell
rapper.
us.
It's not a rapper. But the Pappy craze came from Anthony Bourdain.
oh,
Okay.
and
Let me wait. Huh? No, let me tell you
mhm,
why. When he was on his old Travel Channel show,
mhm,
it was 2007 because I specifically remember
Oh,
him
okay.
talking about it. He wasn't on the CNN show yet. He was on the Travel Channel show, and he and Eric Repair were always talking about it. And Eric Repair gave him a bottle of Pappy, and after that, Pappy seemed to be the bottle to get. But if you were a true drinker of luxury spirits, you already knew that it was hard to get because they only produce between 10 and 12. You just knew that.
they
Right.
Mhm.
killed Pappy. Pappy ain't even Pappy no more. They killed it. Pappy ain't
Okay.
even
Yeah.
Pappy.
Okay.
And they,
So
so this is what happened with the Anthony Bourdain situation. And don't get me wrong, I love that
I
man,
love him
but sometimes
too.
I just wish he would shut the
Oh,
hell up.
exactly.
Say it to buy
Why?
me
He getting his paper.
sugar. Say that to your close friends. Say that when you at the dinner table. You don't need to say that on TV with 15 million people watching you. Everybody don't need to know everything. Be quiet. You messing up some of my favorite places. Like, everybody don't need to know that. And one of the biggest issues is what happened. They found all these bourbon barrels. So they were bottling all of these barrels that were older and sending it out. So if you were a real whiskey drinker, you knew, dude, Pappy is it's only going for about $80 a bottle, and you could go and it would taste like it cost $1,000,000.
Mhm.
And then that hype happened, and now Pappy ain't even Pappy for real. You know what I mean? It's just whiskey.
The reason I
And but
say
they're
that, yeah, because we bought a bunch of bottles in 2007 before the hoopla and all
and
that,
this
and
bottle
now
was
it's like
now,
you
Girl,
hide them
you
when
still
family
got
come
them.
over.
Sell
You
them.
know
Make
that you
some
hide
money.
them. You know, it's one of
Put
them
them
you
things on
hide.
eBay for a couple grand. Buy yourself a new house and car.
No, you put them up when the family comes, and you put out the other stuff. Like y'all can't have that. Like no, because it's
Oh,
just
you
it's.
always have stuff for family. That's just a rule. You just
that's
have
it.
stuff. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Especially if they don't know, because they're like, "Oh, let me drink this." Oh my God, that was like a 1975,
But see, that
whatever.
happened well, when my husband and I were dating. We had some sherry from Jerez. We had brought it back from Spain because they don't import it here, and we just
Mm-hmm.
actually left it out. And it was just like you see the bottle was here, and then it get like it was here, and it just like
Yeah.
so.
well, and the funny thing about family, if we're gonna be on the topic of old people drinking, is you
Oh,
know,
people drink.
Open drinks.
hashtag.
This
Um,
is laying me out.
I have one of the issues that I have with my family is my family just doesn't really understand what I do. They're very confused. Like
Mhm.
literally, my grandma tells people I drink for a living. When people at church say, "How's Ashton do? She's always been so smart. What does she do? She drinks for a living." And then people are like, "Oh,
Okay,
like
be proud, Grandma.
they don't really
Yeah.
have any concept." And so my family drinks things that are very, very sweet if they drink. You know, they drink things that are very, very sweet. And one of the issues that I always had is how do I show them what I do and bring them into the process of how I drink because I want them to be able to connect to what I do for a living. Like I really like what I do and I would like them to understand why I like what I do so much.
Because you
Um,
didn't bring them a bottle of Moscato.
Right.
oh,
Oh my
I had to
God,
go
you going
there.
into the next
oh,
hangout? I
if
can't
y'all
wait to
want to
talk to
know
next.
about
I had
how
to go there. I'm sorry, Ashley.
That's
how
correct. You.
how in truth my family is the word that I will use. We're from Memphis, Tennessee. I got my family off of a name that I will not share. Off of that, and I upgraded them to Moscato. I am actually proud of the fact that
Oh
I
my
can say
Does it
God.
start
that
with a
my
B?
family now.
Right. Does it
Wait,
start with the?
Does it start with a
Does it
B?
rhyme with?
wait, does it start with an M?
It started with a B.
A
B.
B?
Does
A
it
B.
rhyme with
It
Fool's
rhymes with the
Barm?
It rhymes with moon. It
Fool's
rhymes with
Barm?
the moon. It
No, it
rhymes with
can't
the
be that
moon.
bad.
um. So my grandma was drinking flavored wines that had explained to her those aren't really wines, Grandma. And she was drinking thing. Now I got her a Moscato d'Asti.
Oh my God.
Okay.
So she drinks
Okay.
that now.
Baby
And
steps. You got to do it.
baby steps. My dad likes to drink Grand Marnier, chilled,
Okay.
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 and Chambord. And, it took me a minute to get him on and move them to, okay, well, if this is what you like. Well, for A, I had to get over my heartbreak and grieve the fact that my family was never going to enjoy the things that I enjoy. I was like, you just going to have to let that go. But I have now gotten them all where I don't have to bring something cloyingly sweet when I come home. Because I can at least get them to try something that is off dry. You know what I mean? And that is something to say, especially in the South, over people who just were never really, Memphis, Tennessee doesn't have a lot of places you can go and just have like a good glass of wine. You know what I mean? Most of it's sweet. Even the reds are overly juicy to the point that sometimes I think that they are, overripe and not actually supposed to be drinking them. But, and so it's interesting that we're talking about old people drinks because I think that in people and friends that I have when I go back, that's their idea of how people drink. And so when I come there and I go, actually, that's not how people drink. And like, let me show you how I drink when I'm at home and what I taste.
Hmm.
They're blown away. But then they go, well, we can't find this here. Like my uncle is a straight up tequila drinker. That's all he drinks. He don't drink it. He don't want Patron. Again, I'm not gonna talk bad about nobody's brand,
Mm-mm,
but
no, about nobody, nothing. Mm-mm.
but I'm just gonna say that there are other brands I think. So I introduced him to Fortaleza and Tequila Ocho. He was astounded. He was like, "Oh my God, why have I been drinking this for years?" You know what I mean? He was like, "I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't know."
People that have it.
Now
You go
he
with what you know. That's what they do.
thrives when he does his contract business. in like Virginia, he brings back cases of Fortaleza and Ocho because he just thinks it's that good. You know what I mean? And that amazing. But it is a hard and trying thing. Whereas my mother is on the other side. My mom is very, very, very price conscious. You know, unless it's something she's celebrating, she doesn't understand why
You
she
spend
needs
that.
to spend more. You know what I mean? Or like she's like
So it can
she
taste
thinks that
good. Like if you spend $5, it's not good. I'm sorry, it's not good.
you know, and you know, here's the thing, and again, baby steps. But you know, I finally had to get my mom where I had to break it down to her like this. You know, she would always say, Ashton, when you go out, you're a representation of me. She used to pull that on me all the time, even
I
still
think
now.
all Mother's
No,
Day.
no pressure though. No
And
pressure.
so what I told her was, well, Mom, when you go out to restaurants in Chicago, you represent me because people know you're my mother. And people know me as an educated thing. So part of your responsibility is that you keep that image going, and that when you sit down, if you're not knowledgeable, you're at least open to them letting you give you a suggestion. You know, and some of
What
that
did
is
she
about.
say to you after you said that?
She was like,
Yeah.
she gave me the.
Right, girl. Watch who you talking to.
Right, things millennials say to their moms, because
You
I
know,
wouldn't even.
me and my mom's really young too. You know, so some of it is that like it's one of those things where my mom's extremely intelligent, but I'm cultured in a lot of ways that she's not. You know what I mean? So
Right.
my
Well,
mom
then
trusts my
she's
opinions.
good.
When it comes to that, my mom trusts my opinion a lot. And I will say now that the other day she texted me a wine, and I asked her why she was texting me this wine. I said, "Are you texting me because you like the label?" And she was honest. She was like, "Yes, I'm texting you because I like the label." I was like,
At least your
the
mom
Keep it
label.
knows.
real, mom. Keep it
Yeah,
real,
I
mom.
go, okay. And she goes, but is it a quality wine? And I go, well, you know, I honestly don't know much about this brand. Can you tell me where it's from and everything like that? And I will say that I am very proud of the fact that at this point, my mom can send me and say she knows the difference between Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and wine like a Barolo. Okay, she now has started to figure out those differences, and she can now say, "Hey, this is from Southern France," or "This is from Italy, and it's in this price range." Does that make sense? Is that going to be a quality wine? You know what I mean? In that price range, and you know, you got to work with your peoples slowly. Trust me, I would love it if everybody was drinking vermouth on the terrace with a twist, but that just ain't gonna happen.
You know,
So,
You gonna turn me on to this vermouth? You keep talking this vermouth. I'm gonna have to go pull out my vermouth and
y'all
make it
come
happen
visit
or
this kid.
something.
No,
y'all are
one
hilarious.
of
Well,
our
since we
opening
were
drinks, the
talking
Dolan Blanc Spritz.
about old
Um,
wine, the
Dolan
one,
Blanc Spritz.
Okay.
the
So,
one memory I do have before I really got into the whole wine industry game was my one of my best friend's great aunts introduced me to Madeira.
Mm,
I was like, "Ooh, this is an old people drink," because I had never
Yeah,
seen
absolutely.
that is. Put that up
about
there with beer.
this. She's
And
like, "I
port.
got to have my Madeira." I was like,
girl, you just
"Hey,
ain't
what
had
is
more
Madeira?" Said, "You supposed to act like you know about wine. You love wine. And you like going to." I said, "I don't know that much. What are you drinking?"
What is it?
What is it? She's like, "Girl, honey, go over there and get a glass. Get a glass. Everybody, get a glass." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Oh, note to self, Madeira, because you don't know every day.
Yeah.
Madeira." So that's my old people story. Why? Outside of beer, I know Ashton don't like beer, but my
I
first
love me some beer
introduction
now. I
to
love me some beer.
alcohol was Miller Ponies.
Oh my God. Did you say ponies?
She said,
Yeah.
I'm about to
"Pony."
sit this computer down. Good night.
Wow.
Yeah, I went there. Y'all said old people drink.
No,
Miller
Glennis.
Ponies. There you go.
Glennis, my dad used to drink the little bitty Schlitz. Schlitz.
Yep.
That's why I was like, oh my God. Like, yeah. Talk about old people drinks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask the question. There we go.
Don't get on no champagne.
Woo!
Okay.
I ain't even seen it.
This hangout is taking a turn. He said champagne. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight. This has been
You got
awesome.
the pink. You got the regular. What?
Yeah.
Sweetest, if you have any questions,
That's high school.
Wait,
I log out at Champagne.
wait, though. Wait, no.
Woo.
So wait, I have a question. What is
You
every
said
time
that I
drink?
want to be.
What is
I
every
would just like to be on the record if Mental High Life comes across this. I do believe in the champagne of beers. So you
Oh,
just
Oh,
call me
Miller
if
High
you're looking.
Life goes down. Yeah,
see.
a
I
sweetened
like it.
beer. Yeah. Mhm.
Call me if
yeah.
you come across this and for some reason need somebody to help you out. Because I drink that
No,
every day.
Champagne and beers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Sarita was just
What's
asking
the
what's
champagne of beers? Oh,
Well,
Miller High Life.
oh, I've never.
Miller High
Okay.
Life, huh?
Get
That's their
into it.
tag.
Get into it.
Get into it. And I drink it in a champagne glass.
I do not need another hobby.
Mm.
It won't be a hobby. It'll just be an every now and then thing. Or when
Okay.
you like, you know what? When you feel like I'm kind of slumming it, but then like not really because I'm hip. You Miller High Life it. Yeah.
Okay, so I got to give up my Chimay for that.
No, don't.
No, not give up. Not give up. Just if you want a little change.
Okay,
No.
okay.
I say
Just
give
if you want
up.
to like go over to the other side of the tracks every now and then. You know, sometimes you know you like to remember
Just
your
need
roots
some
and go
ice
to the other
cold.
side of the tracks.
Okay,
Right.
I
You
got to
just
go
go
back
over
to the
there.
tracks. Okay,
Yeah, ice
okay.
cold.
You want to look over at the tracks, not necessarily cross over. You just want to stand at the tracks and look. Miller High Life.
Okay.
Like,
Look,
hey,
look
But
now.
then when you go back home and get comfortable, then you hit your shebang. You know, you do
yeah.
Okay.
that.
Okay.
There
Yeah,
you go.
Belgian beer is awesome. That's kind of what I solely
Okay.
drink over here. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I keep seeing these glasses. What are people
Okay.
drinking? Like
What's
we
everybody
let's
drinking?
yeah.
Julia, start with you, and then we'll go to Glass.
Okay.
Okay, so I got to reach over. So, because this is my husband and I killed this bottle.
Mm.
Like, see this one? This is that Argentine
Yeah.
red blend. I got
Oh,
this
okay.
Oh.
weekend
I like
from Total Wine.
it.
I went in and there's a guy I always kind of
Okay.
talk to, so he had this one for me that I like talking to him on. He works on Saturday, so I always go. And then another one like this was from last night, so I was kind of prepping. It's like a muirwood. I can't.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should have been in the camera with the other one. Yeah, this is it.
Okay.
Okay.
It got like it must be great because the label put 93 points on it. I didn't care about that. I just cared about when I tasted it, it was great. And
Mhm.
so this muirwood has been like kind of my everyday,
Mm.
Okay.
even
Okay,
though I
like
had some
your house
good.
wine. I like it.
This is like my house wine, and then
Hmm.
today I went to the Spanish wine tasting. So I've been drinking since 2:30, not 3 o'clock. So
The Catalan wine tasting?
Yeah,
Was
she.
it
yeah,
that one?
I went to the Carolina wine tasting. So it was good. They have a drink. They make a drink. One of the producers is they can't call it sherry because sherry is like champagne. It has to be made, but they had one literally made in the same way sherry was made. It was
Mm.
so
Oh,
good. I had to go back and get it. I had to go back and
wow.
get another glass.
What
Okay.
where is it made? Is it because I just had tasted one a couple of weeks
Okay,
ago.
hold on. Let me get the book. Hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Just like 1 moment, please.
Hold on. TV time out.
So
See,
y'all
she
can
can
have
stand
one
up. I can't stand up and get y'all
Go
messed up.
ahead. Go ahead, T.
I should have put the book up. Where is it?
Look, she have a whole lot of followers.
Right.
Right. Uh-oh. Why so many people on this hangout? Tanisha stand up.
Change the whole scope
Okay,
of the
so
swirl.
you guys can see it.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
maybe
Somebody
REA.
screenshot that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, tweet us
Yeah,
a picture
I
so
took
Yeah.
we
a
can like
picture of it.
have it.
Okay, it's so good. Like seriously, really,
Okay.
really good. And they had some Spanish cheeses there from the Jose Andres because he's from Catalan. So his
Mm-hmm.
restaurant's here in DC, Haleo. So they had like little bites and stuff. So it was good.
The tasting was at Aleo.
No, Haleo provided the food. It
Oh,
was at
okay.
the 600 Loft over in downtown by the Verizon Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, it's
Gladys,
my
what
turn,
you
right?
drinking? Yes.
I am
Mm-hmm.
drinking in the spirit of getting excited about the upcoming Wine Bloggers Conference. Last year, I met one of the, what do you call it? I guess distributors for Moscato Family Wines, Moscato Cellars. I don't know where this camera is because it's
Right
on.
there. Perfect.
No, you're right. Just stop.
Perfect.
Don't move. That was perfect. That's perfect, Glennis.
Yeah.
Perfect. Woohoo!
It's I love you. It's an old vine Vin. It's a 2011 vintage. It's out of stock. They don't have any more. Actually, they sent me these samples. We will be visiting either on the excursion or they'll be pouring during the red wine live blogging.
Oh wow.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Blackberries, silky, very approachable tannins, um, nice finish, lingers, but not offensive at all. It can age a couple more years, or it's ready to. Well, it's 2011. You know it's ready to drink because I'm almost finished. Just sitting here talking to you guys.
So
So
you can't wait till 7 years.
no, that. I'm gonna act like the millennials. No, this will be gone.
No, right.
Tomorrow. The 7 days. So,
Tomorrow.
yeah, one of my favorite varietals too is Zinfandel, 50-year-old vine.
Now, is that from the last year's Wine Bloggers Conference?
Well, the distributor or marketer that I
Mhm.
met was from last. I met him at the last year's Wine Bloggers Conference because what happens at the Bloggers Conference, some of the vendors and winery owners come to the previous one. So we're going to Lodi where this vineyard is now and where they bottle Scotto family selling wines.
Oh, I'll be at that one. I'm
You
coming
coming
to
to Lodi?
that one. I'm coming to that one. Yeah.
That's WBC 16. So Scotto family, and I'll make sure I introduce you guys to.
Yeah, and I'm also trying to work with Sonoma Public Relations,
Sonoma
County,
Okay.
to do some blog things after the conference starting that Monday,
Oh.
Monday through Thursday. Them and
Work it.
Definitely.
we all can shine together, baby.
I know that's right.
We can all shine together. So
We'll talk about something once we get off.
yeah,
Line.
yeah.
But yeah, so Scotto family is one of the wineries that will be there, and really nice folks. I love Lodi. Some hidden gems in Lodi.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited about going.
That's what a friend who is from the that area was telling me. She's here now. She was just telling me Lodi is like a hidden gem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, especially because we're on the same. If you love big bold reds, Lodi, yeah. Turley Vineyards is there. I'm so freaking excited.
Early. I just tweeted out the photo, so you guys.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yes.
Okay. All right, next. I'm okay.
All right, next. Ashton, what are you drinking? Are you drinking water or do you have a spirit in there? It's Tuesday, so I don't know what that means.
So I'll be fair and I'll tell y'all that Mama was hurting. I had to take a nap before we had this this thing because yesterday, because I'm leaving next week, and it was my holiday party last night, I started drinking yesterday at like noon.
Okay.
And probably didn't stop until 5 a.m. this morning.
To be young.
Right, to be a millennial drinking habit. Where you can still talk. Out of the night and hang out canceled.
Easy. Recovery is not that easy at a certain age.
I drank a different vintage last night, but this is one of the houses I drank last night, Charton Tallier.
Oh, nice.
This is the 2008. Last night I drank Charton Tallier 2006. Jose Michel 2006. We kind of did a comparison. I drank Drapier Brut Nature and Drapier 2002 Rosé. Other things. Right now I am drinking Seattle Dry Cider. This is kind of like my go-to the next day on Tuesday. It's really light, extremely dry.
You need to recover. That's your recovery drink.
That's a recovery drink.
I'm drinking some delicious coconut water from the coconut, from the tree.
But it is Mardi Gras, so you know, girl got to rally after this. So I'm having some.
Yeah. Woo, y'all can have it.
So I'm having La Salsa, which is sherry cask. Scotch. So
nice.
So Ashton, I'll live vicariously through you on that one, baby, because
I want to try that. That sounds good.
Yeah, I'd still be on the side of my bed.
I'll just double tap your IG pictures.
Right. Right. I would still be on the side of my bed.
Covered. The screen will be black. Like I'm gonna talk to y'all, but y'all can't see me.
Exactly.
But I'll be like witness protection. It'll be just a bright light in the shadow.
If y'all Let me know.
I don't know what happened to Tanisha.
What I'm drinking for. I don't know if anybody else here is a whiskey or scotch drinker,
What's
but
that,
this
babe?
is Glimmerangey Vodka. If you're a scotch drinker, this is delicious. And Glimmerangey is a little bit lighter, not really smoky. It's 12 years, and it's sherry cask.
Ooh.
And it
It's nice.
so beautiful and round and just it is just easy sipping and it's not hard at all. I don't even put an ice cube. It's just really easy. Her on the back and it's perfect. It's my Tuesday pick me up and
Okay.
I love it. So,
Okay, so
yeah.
cider and scotch. Got it.
Got it.
Monday champagne. Let's just go through your week, Ashton. Let's just take a
Yeah, I
little
love that
side
idea.
trip.
Yes.
Monday champagne, Tuesday cider and scotch. What are we drinking on Wednesday?
You know what? Honestly, and this is not even purposely, but there's this little bar that I just always tend to end up at. That I drink chartreuse on Wednesdays typically.
Okay.
Because they don't
Any
know what chartreuse is, so
particular
they're selling
yellow,
$7.
green? Which what?
Depends on
Oh,
the
they don't
day.
know.
They don't know. They don't know. They're selling it for $7. I'm like,
Mm.
I would drink y'all out of chartreuse. I generally drink green chartreuse. If I have it, I usually just drink it chilled.
Okay.
If I have the yellow chartreuse, my favorite thing is yellow chartreuse topped off with cava with a couple of ice cubes and an orange twist.
Okay.
Delicious.
All right. And then so that's Wednesday. Okay, Thursday.
I don't drink. I try not to at least.
Okay. That's like
Thursday I
your
go.
lit. Okay.
That's my day.
Oh my God.
And Friday, because you gotta turn up. It's the weekend. Uh-oh. See, this is what happened. The
I
screen
try
went
not to
black.
drink on
She fell out.
Witness
I
protection.
don't
Uh-oh.
drink
That champagne caught up with her.
uh-uh.
So yeah, I don't know.
Uh-oh, she froze.
Oh.
See, that's why I go so hard on
Oh, okay.
Mondays
Oh,
and
shit.
Tuesdays. So that's my turn up.
Okay.
Gotcha. Well, I'm drinking sparkling tonight.
We got everybody.
Ah,
What do you drink?
finally! From les mou.
Limu.
Le
From les
Mou?
mou.
Yeah,
From les mou.
sparkling wine. It's $14.99. Well, it's $14.99 in liquor stores. If you find it wholesale, I'm certain that you'll get it cheaper. But
Oh, yeah. But
I
$14.99 ain't
keep
bad.
I keep buying this bottle over and over again. I might as well just get a case and keep it in my house. I'm not case dollar yet. I don't have like case dollars yet. Like I don't know who buys cases. Tanisha, you
It
see?
depends.
No.
It depends.
Yeah.
I do.
Sometimes this is what you have to tell yourself when you're ready to buy a case. You go case, no eating out. Case,
Oh, is that
no
what you
eating
Yeah.
out. You have to like figure that out. It doesn't have to be a ramen, but it has to be like you cook it at home and taking a few leftovers for that case.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
It also depends on what you're buying by the case. I buy by the case because I know that I like to drink champagne, and I know that I want to keep a couple of bottles to save, and I want to drink the rest closed. And so it just ends up being cheaper than going to a store and paying $65 for a bottle that I could really get for 28 to 32 in a case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a drinking,
Yeah.
so I'm not worried about that. So
Yeah, I think the issue with me and cases is what to get in the case. I'm not gonna drink 12 bottles of the same thing. So I was
No.
definitely, I'm more of a mixed case kind of girl because I'm like,
It depends.
I want
I
different
feel all
things.
the time.
So yeah.
Absolutely, Glennis. Yeah, I agree.
Brittany,
Um,
what you drinking?
I wanted you guys to tell us about, what you guys, especially our special guests, Julia and Ashton, what you guys got coming up. Anything special on your blogs or your brands, or I know Ashton, you said you're doing a big move, but Julia, you said you were going to incorporate wine a little more in your blog. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm doing after 10 years. I'm doing a really almost a complete rebranding.
Oh, wow.
When I started my blog, it was based on beauty, and I was always traveling, and I was a legal assistant at that time, working, and I was just writing Tanisha, I flew to Paris every year about my skincare, so I was literally writing.
I saw that bioderma on your blog. I swear by that stuff.
Yeah.
My skin be flawless when I
Flawless.
use it.
So
What?
I still love beauty and everything, but I wanted to encompass me more as a person. So I feel like 10 years is time to retire the name All About the Pretty. That's it was my grandmother's saying, so I actually have the trademark of that. So I still
Okay.
own it. But I'm just rebranding because I'm actually trying to do more lifestyle writing and really getting serious about that. So that's why I'm just changing everything to Julia Coney, and I'm actually going to take some wine classes. I signed up for the WSET
Okay.
class at
Hmm.
Capital Wine School starting in May
Very
because
nice.
I
Yes,
really
that's
want
where
to.
you go.
What
Yes,
level?
Sorry.
and I really want to write. I really know that when I honed it down, I love the whole writing aspect of wine and the
Cool.
travel. And I cover travel, so I see when I go on a lot of trips, I'm usually the only person that looks like me.
Girl,
Oh,
yeah. It's just you.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's
I
just
met,
you.
I
Because
just
it
met,
just be me. It's
yes.
you.
So I've met some amazing people who actually write for like online publications like Psalm Journal and Wine Enthusiast, and they're like my writing mentors
Mm.
to like critique my wine writing work for those kind of like publications. So I have the connections, I've just never used them. And so in November I had surgery, and right before that I got laid off. And sometimes when God tells you to go and you don't really want to
Mhm.
go, He kind of like forces you out to go
Won't he
to
do it?
teach you.
Won't he do
Won't
it?
he do it?
Tell
Won't
it,
he do
preach.
it?
That's
We're gonna
another
get back. Yeah, we're gonna talk about this. Right, we're
another
gonna talk about this next
hangout.
time. But he'll do
So
it.
he kicked me out, and when I really did it, and I was here, my mom was here, my husband, when we were talking at the surgery, and they were like, you have this time. What do you really want to do? And I said something with food and wine, but I don't want to be a chef. I know I love food pairings,
But I
and
don't want to
I like to cook, but I don't want to be a chef. But I can say that.
That sounds
I
hard
don't want to
though.
cook.
So when the wine thing, he was just like, you have a very people personality. You have a personality that people like, and it's engaging, and you can be fun. And he was like, you might as well just take the classes. So I shot an email to the people I knew who can help, and Sarita was one of them. And talking to her, and I like watch all you guys' videos in like a week. I put it on like my TV. I did it from
Oh
my
gosh,
laptop to
why
my
did you do that
TV.
to yourself, girl? I'm sorry.
No, because let me tell you, it was the
Girl,
best
I'm
rehab.
sorry.
It was the best rehab. I loved it. And so
Oh
I
my
just decided, like, this is my second act. And my second act is going to be something that I really am passionate about. And I want to show really my family, which are my nieces. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, that you can make a life change after
Hmm.
doing something. You got to just do the work. I mean, it's
Yeah.
hard work. You guys know that. It's not easy.
Yeah.
But I can take the contacts that I have and the following that I've created and the industry I worked in, and still be that, you know, that luxury travel wine
god.
writer that is not present in the industries that I see,
Right.
you
Mhm.
know,
Right.
or you don't need an MS to do it. It just has to be one of us break it. I feel we break the floor or the ceiling, and that's it. That's just
There
how it
you
goes.
go.
We all going.
There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Well, some folk don't do that for all us. So,
No, they don't. We're all
Well, I
going.
feel like
I got some names.
well, I'm
right.
not the person. Let me tell you, heaven is wide open. There's enough to go around because we all bring something special to the party.
Enough. Say
There's
it
a
again, Julie, and say it one more
preach.
time.
We all bring something special to the party, and there's enough to go around because I serve the God who did a cattle on 1,000 hills. So I don't think there's one
Well,
hill for just me. And so
well,
I just want to do that.
well,
So
well. Mm.
Tell
She gave
because
us the verse. She said, I don't think y'all heard me.
yeah, that's what I'm doing now. So I'm dealing with that for the next few weeks. Redoing the site and forwarding things, and because the URL has been in so many PR people, I'm not changing my URL. I'm just forwarding it because
Right.
it's just
Okay.
easier to forward than to
yeah.
recreate the wheel. So that's what I'm doing. So
Excellent.
Wow. That's
Congratulations.
awesome.
That's what's up.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
What a
and I
time.
might be in New Orleans for the. They have a nice food and wine festival every May
Yeah, they do.
in New Orleans, and
We'll be. I can't talk about it, but we'll be hosting some events.
yeah,
So
I'll let you know. So just things like that. So it's just moving into that arena of luxury as a lifestyle.
I know
yeah,
that's
Luxury as a lifestyle, because sometimes I think for me, like when people, they'll pigeonhole you, like, oh, you write about beauty,
Mhm.
you can't write about anything else. But I think
Mhm.
we're all multi-dimensional women. I don't know any woman who is just like, this is the only thing I do, I don't do anything else. So it's
yeah.
understanding that you can have a focus And those focus can be 2 things, 3 things. I can do beauty, travel, and wine, but I don't have to like say, oh, I don't like this because of one another. So
Right.
yeah, so it's gonna be some fun stuff, and like I said, we all here for the party. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a great year for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Awesome.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. That is phenomenal.
That's awesome.
That
Ashton,
So what
is.
else y'all doing?
yeah. Ashton, what you got going on? So you're moving to New Orleans. Anything you can share with us?
Too much, honestly. Been a couple of years for me. Like she said, I moved to. It's about to get real interesting, and I'm super excited about the journey that I'm being able to take and about the growth I'm about to commit to. And I am running basically the hotel lobby bar in the Ace Hotel.
Oh wow.
Um,
Oh,
and this is a big
road
deal
trip.
because it's connected to an art gallery and a music venue. So I will curate all of the cocktails and all of the menus that go for those 2 areas as well. This is kind of a big deal because I was always known as the wine girl in the cocktail industry. So the fact that someone called me up and sought after me and was like, hey, but you're a really great bartender, and we see you as a som, and we think you and the Hotel Express that they want to see me grow within their company. Um, I'm excited to be around Black people again.
I like how you whispered it. Did you lean in too?
Oh my
You gotta
God!
lean in. You
Oh
gotta lean in.
no! I had to stop myself because here I was just walking up to random Black people and being like, "Hi, how are you today?" And they would be like,
Yeah,
Oh
what's
no, they're
wrong?
"What's
weird.
wrong with you?" And
Right.
so it took me, but I'm super excited about living in New Orleans. I am still very committed to spreading the gospel of champagne. So Champagne Mondays is going to become a much more curated event in the future. And I'm kind of looking at how once the hotel opens up and we get settled, what that curation looks like. My first article I ever wrote, which was on vermouth, if you ladies want to go look at it, came out a couple of weeks ago on Alcohol Professor, and I'm actually writing my second article for them, and I just got asked to write an article for another online uh, alcohol and spirits blog, and it's really exciting because I want to move to that. I am Lord Jesus, take my Wine and Spirit Education Trust diploma set this year.
Woo, nice.
Nice.
Diploma,
I am
outstanding.
extremely nervous, but I am extremely excited because, when I sought out in this journey, I didn't know the roads it was going to take me, but I knew that I wanted to be a master's of wine, and I knew why I wanted to be a master's of wine. And although the journey has transformed and it's become a much more concise idea, that's still something I really, really want. And I love the fact that my new employer is all about supporting that. They're like,
Yeah.
my whole idea is that I want to be the unconventional som. I want to be the som that comes to your table and can talk to you about spirits and can talk to you about sake and beer and whatever makes you comfortable and whatever you are in your palate and help you grow there. And I'm really excited about curating a program that's going to be a lot of fun. Our industry shots are going to be curated. Really beautiful curated jello shots.
Wow.
I basically made jello shots that are almost like cocktails and layered in these
Mm-hmm.
beautiful ways. And so I'm just really excited to have a lot of fun and things like that. And then lastly, if it gets approved, my application was put in for Bar Institute, and I will more than likely be teaching 2 classes at the Bar Institute, which is basically like a smaller cocktail week that's going to be traveling across the country. Originally was only in Portland.
Mhm.
And one of them was expressed that they were very excited about. One of them is about verbiage and translation between about wine. And it's about how do we change our verbiage based on our consumer and how do we change our verbiage based on our context of our setting to make sure that we're adequately selling to our consumer. So that's what I got going on.
Wow.
Wow.
That is awesome.
I like
Wow.
that.
I
Yeah,
That
know.
great.
that
Um,
is phenomenal. I'm so glad we can say we knew you win.
Right.
Right?
Stop it.
How
Don't
about
have
it?
to
Well,
forget
look,
us.
MS, Master Wine, Master Wine.
Oh,
She gonna be popping bottles with Fred Dame.
Right?
exactly,
Like what? What
exactly.
y'all wanna do?
Let me
Enlighten.
tell you something, y'all. I'm gonna let y'all know this right now. The only thing I'm doing once I become an MW is I'm certifying all Fridays as Fried Chicken and Rose Day
Oh,
nationally.
well, how about
Okay.
it?
Yes.
Do it.
Nationally. What's the first
That's
thing
hot.
you like to do? Fried chicken and rose every Friday.
Well,
All
let me
right.
say this. You're going to the Heart of Fried Chicken. Once you have popped in New Orleans, you will never want to
No,
eat it anywhere else.
anywhere
Yeah,
else.
you won't.
Nope.
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 I'm
It's
from,
different.
I
Totally
actually was
different.
going to, Tanisha, you'll love to hear this. I actually was going to actually be moving back to Paris before Ace Hotel approached me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, why would I want to hear that if you
And
changed your mind? Like, how is this good? I'm
I
so
didn't change
confused.
my mind. They literally called me though, and I was literally um, getting all the stuff for my visa paperwork. And they called me and were like, "Is there any chance that you would be willing?" Because I basically was like, "I'm fed up with the U.S. I need something different, you know." And they were like, "Well, what if we
Here.
talked about New Orleans?" And I said, "Well, 'cause that's pretty much the
I'm
only thing
listening.
I'm living." So, but don't worry, I'll see you at Harvest, boo. I'll see you at
Wow.
Harvest.
I'll be here. But I'm
Wow.
doing Champagne Week in April, so I'll
I know,
think of you
girl. I'm
often.
trying to make it. I'm already
wait a minute,
getting
wait a minute.
emails.
When in April? I might be there.
Oh,
April 19th.
Like 18, 19, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's. I know
I'll
the Trésors champagne tasting is on the 19th.
I'll
They're
let
usually
I'll let you
beginning.
know. I might be there from the 12th through the 23rd.
Okay. Oh, well, we're rolling together. What?
Well, I got a conference call with I don't before this is another crazy thing. I normally lead a beauty tour to Paris where I take women beauty to private beauty events in Paris.
Ooh, can I
Okay.
go on that?
But I lost a lot of people with the attack in
In
November.
November,
They were really,
yeah.
really scared.
right.
But I'm working with the tourism board to actually go back to show for the US side that it's actually okay to go.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So once that, I'll know within the next 3 weeks because
Okay.
they'll be sending me. That's
Okay.
Let's make sure that we keep in touch because I've got to see where the hotel's at, but I'm definitely trying to make it out there to that
Yeah.
tasting and say what's up. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a long way from home. I've spent a lot of time in that region, and I just really love those producers a lot. So, yeah.
Well, well, as one of my as my W-Set 3 professor said to me, MS, the Master of Wine stands for Master of Writing. And I
Yeah.
know you will do well if you love to write. And Julia, you will probably do well too, because that's going to be your path at some point if you're going to do this writing. So, but
Yeah.
God bless you, because I'm not doing it. I did 3
Not doing it.
I
Anyway,
did
Right. I'm like, not
did
doing
it
it.
it's
vicariously
kind of
through
what
you, and that's enough for me. To answer, and I'll tell you why. To answer Sarita's question, this year is my golden year.
Yeah.
Shout out to the gold.
Yes, this is my golden year, and as I said to Ashton, recovery is not as easy. New Year's, we popped 6 bottles of champagne, and I thought the next day, New Year's Eve, I didn't think I was going to see the next day. So, again, I live vicariously through you. For me,
I'm
what's
willing
funny,
to do the hard work. I'm willing to do the heavy lifting.
thank you, thank you. I really don't have anything as exciting coming up as you guys, but my travel calendar is going to be really great for my 50th. I'm going to do some tasting in Provence. So hopefully, my dear friends, not Sarita, you were invited, but hopefully Tanisha will come down.
I couldn't afford it. Please send me pictures.
Girl, bye.
Hopefully, you could, hopefully you come down and hang out. We're going to
Yeah,
start
I'm
at
trying to
least.
twirl around in some lavender fields.
Yeah,
Glennis, Glennis, email me. I have the PR director for Provence.
Yeah,
Email.
well, you just stay on when we go off air, because we just going to talk to you about everything.
yeah, we're going to talk about all
All
of
right,
that.
everybody,
Yeah.
like, let's just actually shut this down now so we can all talk to Julia
I'm
in
about to say,
private.
we got to
All right, about it. Thanks for coming out. Good night.
Exactly.
Full
And we're
contact.
done.
So just very, very briefly, so we can get off, so we can talk to Julia, because I'm just excited about talking to her too. But we're gonna start in Nice, go to Monaco, hang out in Monaco for my actual birthday. Leave Monaco,
Elaine
go
Ducasse,
to
Elaine
Saint
Ducasse, Elaine
Tropez.
Ducasse,
Yeah.
Elaine
Get the
Ducasse,
reservations
Michelin
now.
star, three. Elaine
Ducasse.
Ducasse, go for the lunch course. They serve the same dinner course at lunch, but it's half the price.
I was just about to say that.
I'm
Go for the
gonna,
lunch.
Yeah, go at lunch.
I'm
Go
gonna
at
get
lunch.
an email. I'm gonna email both of you so I can get the list. Cause
Yeah,
again,
go for lunch. She's exactly
you
right.
can't remember stuff that fast, so I got
Right.
that.
Right,
I
because
need
it's
it
a
in
goal of the
writing.
year, so it happens.
Golden
Okay,
years.
so
Whatever you
Monaco, Provence,
Mon-
and then where else?
okay, fly into Nice. Monaco's the first 3 days. Grasse, Aix, Provence, Saint Tropez. We're gonna make our own scents, our own perfume in
Fragonard.
Grasse. Yes,
Yeah.
and then Marseille.
Okay.
Chateau d'If is something I want to see because of Alexander Dumas. I'm just
Absolutely.
so
Yeah, let me make sure that we all talk after the cameras go off, because there's a little tricks you can, you know what I mean, just to kind of.
yep. That's been my life and planning my family reunion, and we ain't gonna talk about that. But I'm gonna start writing. I'm gonna do some more blogging actually, and the.
Can I tell you that my great grandma called me literally yesterday? My great grandma barely know how to use the phone, so she called me yesterday and was like, "Is this Ashton Renee and Barry?" And I was like, "Oh, this is a family member. Don't nobody use my whole name like that."
I mean,
And I go,
entire name.
entire name, and y'all know this. So this better be cut out of this, because I
Oh well, then we need to
know my name. And so
go offline.
It's out there.
Get out, girl.
exactly. And so
Grandma to find out.
so I go, what's up? Hi, mama, what's up? Blah blah. We're talking, and she goes, "Now, Ashton, you have not been to a family function in 4 years."
Uh-oh.
And I was like, "But I always come and see you." And she goes, "Well, it's not always about me. None of the rest of your family." And I was like, "You know why I don't talk to them?" She goes, "Well, I don't like them either, but that does not mean that they are not your family."
Right. You could go fake it for a couple days, like whatever.
And I was like, she was like, "I'm asking you this as a favor." And I was like, "You don't have to ask me as a favor, mama. I'll make sure that I show up to the next family function."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Plus, I need to see the one baby who ain't got babies."
Oh, wow.
And she said that to me, and it was really reassuring, but it was also like,
Disheartening and sad. Yeah.
like, it's crazy. Like, they're talking about a family reunion, and suddenly got an email that was like, "Ashton, Ashton used to be in fundraising and sponsorship," and my cousin's
That's another
sent
story.
me a text message that said, "Can you get Popeyes to sponsor our family reunion?"
Oh my God.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming out, guys. I'm actually done now.
Well,
Well,
that's gonna sum up this.
that's gonna sum that up. Yep. Generations.
Yep.
All the generations like Popeyes. We could agree on that. If
All
you're a
generations
millennial,
like-
you drink it with rosé. If you're Generation X, you drink a Popeyes with maybe champagne. I've had it with Nero d'Avola and it worked out. Baby boomers, I don't know. They drink it with sherry or cognac or other old people drinks. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Hashtag old people drinks.
Oh, hashtag old people drink.
Hashtag old people
You
drinks.
know that we're gonna use that hashtag and just start offending a whole bunch of people.
Right.
That's fine. They can tweet me. I'm at Girl Meets Glass. That's GIRLME.
You want to start drinking fast? That's it.
Right. So hashtag old people drinks. Yeah. So Sarita, you wanna
Yeah.
get it on down?
This was awesome. Thank you, Julie and Ashton, for joining us today.
Yes.
Second anniversary episode.
2 years.
Right. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, ladies. Cheers.
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 I don't have a glass. It's 4 a.m. I don't have.
Don't get up and get one, Tanisha. Don't get up and get one.
Right, and I can't get.
Don't get up and get one.
I got a cup. I don't.
So what we've got up next, we're going to try to squeeze in a Black History or like a Blacks and Wine hangout before February is over. But next month we're gonna do careers in wine and spirits. And we have a special guest. I won't even tell you who he is, but he's a
Surprise!
big old black man. So we're excited about that. But thanks for joining, guys, and we will see you next month or in a couple weeks.
Yes. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
Cheers.